Hello again, and welcome to the continuation of my project with changing the shocks or springs and dampers. Originally, I was just going to change the springs from H&R lowering springs to OEM springs, and that was because I kept bottoming out. My first time driving this for work, I scratched the C4S lip, and I can't really drive over speed humps without the exhaust bottoming out in the back. So I'm bottoming out both front and rear. So, just to recap, I started out changing the springs on this side. Everything went perfect. Then I started on this side, and everything went horrible because the shock was completely rusted, the top. So it basically got ruined in the process of loosening the top bolt to get off the spring. So I need to change the shocks too. But luckily, I met or got in contact with one of the nicest guys in the world, probably. Long story short, he ended up shipping me his shocks because they were just laying unused. So now I have 4 slightly used shocks in addition to the OEM springs that I bought off eBay. So I will now replace all springs and all shocks to stuff that has been a lot less used. The car has driven 130,000 kilometers, and I think the springs are 60 and the shocks are 40, so it's about half as much used as the car. I also got some new parts. This bearing felt horrible when I took it off, but it feels a little bit better now, but I will still replace it. These looks fine, and this is the thing that was completely useless. An interesting thing about this is that this is the Fabi Bilstein top plate or shock mount, and it looks not even like similar. It looks 100% identical. The only difference is that where the part number would be on this, you can actually see that it's scratched off. So I have a strong feeling that Fabi Bilstein is the OEM manufacturer of these ones. So that's very, very nice because you can get them for a lot less. Okay, so I'll just continue with changing the dampers or shocks and springs on the driver's sides before going back and redoing all my work on the passenger side in the front. One other thing, the OEM bolts were rusted and getting stuck. So I got 2 new bolts plus this new stop disc. So take one guess what this would cost. It's OEM Porsche parts. No, you're wrong. These 3 parts, 2 nuts and a washer at my original Porsche dealer will cost about 90 euros or dollars, or less, slightly less in pounds, but it's just an insane amount of money. 2 bolts and a disc. So I did not get them there. I ordered them from England, where they cost £43 which is still a crap load of money for these small little things, but I need to have them, so oh well. Alright, continuing with the project here. Can do a sum up of everything I've loosened to get to this point. Obviously everything on the top is taken off, which is 3 13mm bolts here and the top bolt for the damper. This is the broken part of the shock mount is still stuck here, and this here is bent because I tried to pull it off. And the things I've loosened, so this is loosened. This is loosened. The bracket with the ABS and brake pad sensor is loose. Took off this thing from the steering rack. And then the only thing that's left is the axle. And to get to the axle, I'm using this long thingy with an extension. And then once it's loose, use this thing. So since the axle moves when you try and open it, I just hold here to make it stop move. Let's see if we can get the next one out too. Ow. Okay, and it's loose. I have to use pretty much all my adapters or extenders to get to it. Okay, I think I need to take a little break. I don't even know what happened, but this kind of hurts. Okay, thumbs up. Try again. Let's see here. All right. It's 2 bolts out. And 1, 2, 4 to go. All right, the axle is loose. 6 bolts are out. And now comes the part where I get the damper off the car. So, since the damper can be pushed down, and there's a little bit of a gap there, I think it should be pretty easy to just push down and slide it out. Yes, that worked really well. So, since I have bubble wrap on top here, I'm not too afraid of scratching anything. Let's see here. All right. One side done. All right, I managed to get this bolt up so I can move this stabilizer over. And here you can see kind of the state of the old damper, which is rusted compared to the new one, which looks very good. Now it comes back to the original problem, is getting this thing off so I can move over the dust cover and bump stop. And I've tried hammering on it now, and it's just completely stuck. So I actually might have to cut it, which is pretty ridiculous. But I'll try hammering on it a little more and then see if I can get it off. Alright, I kind of have a one last resort here before cutting. Okay, this thing is really, really, really stuck. Ugh. That is insane. Okay, cutting it is. I'm a little worried about heat on the bump stop, so I'll try and be pretty careful. Doing a little bit at a time. Looks to be hollow, so it cuts off a lot easier than I feared. Just good. I'm already halfway done. Alright, that was a hard thing to get off. And I can reuse the bump stop. And dust cover. Very good. Alright, here I have the complete new assembly that goes in. New shocks. Reused the stabilizer, new springs, reused the bump stop and dust cap, and new bolts and bearing and shock mount. Okay, I'm just sanding the inside here, so let's these up again. I'll put some grease lubrication in it just to make sure it slides nice and will be easy to take out the next time, which will hopefully be when I get the Bilstein PSS dampers. If. Okay, feels really nice. I'll put some grease in it too, just to make it work well. There you go. Alright, then it should be just to push it down and slide it back in. Yep, that worked well. Very good. Then we just have to put back the axle bolts and reverse everything I've done so far. I'm putting in the last 2 screws on the axle now. It's such a gratifying feeling when you make like the longest adapter in the entire world and it actually works so well. Just slot it in. Looks like a charm. Got a lot of good tools. Alright, finally got everything put back together. So, put on the bolt here and attach that to the right newton meter. Clips back. 2 bolts here. And this is back. This I attached when I was up. This bolt. And also retightened this one. So here you can see the new shock, new springs, just reused the bump stop and dust cover, and the new washer, and here you can see the new bolt and the washer I just cleaned up and the same reused bolts. So now this side is completely done. Everything feels good and solid and it looks pretty great. Then on the other side I already changed the spring, so I'm just gonna do the same thing again basically and put on the new damper. I don't need to do it, but the damper that's on the other side has been used for 130,000 kilometers, while this one is only 40, so I want the same on both sides. So this is a good time to call it tonight, then I can do the other side on another day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.